Hey guys, Ryan here. And did you know that you're probably holding your controller wrong and it's costing you countless gunfights? Because that's what I'm explaining in this video, and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean, and I promise it's going to help you. We're going to begin by talking about the quote-unquote perfect thumb position. So ignore the janky, low-quality video I took on my phone, but let's look at this. As you can see, this is what a lot of people do, and they hold their thumb at a 90-degree angle. This is wrong, and do not do this. What you want to do is you want to put your thumb like you're seeing it in the background. So this means your thumb is going to rest on the corner of your joystick and not in the middle. This is going to feel weird at first, but I promise it's going to give you a higher range of motion and much more control. If you don't believe me, stick out your thumb, put it at a 90-degree angle like I showed in the beginning, and try and wiggle it around. Your thumb's going to feel locked in, it's going to feel slow and difficult to move. But this is going to lead me into my second point, guys. And this is, where do you actually put your thumb on your controller and your joystick? Because this is the key part. And for me, it's always going to be the bottom right corner. Do not put your thumb in the center of the joystick unless you're running a domed joystick, and the odds are you are not. And this is another key point, guys. You really want to be running either a raised joystick through Scuff or Battle Beaver, or you want to be using Control Freaks, and that's the attachment you saw on my controller. In fact, I so firmly believe in the power of Control Freaks. If you want your own pair because you're afraid of investing the $10 or $20, whatever it is, I'm going to be giving away 3 pairs of Control Freaks in my next video, and all you have to do is just leave a comment. But I'll also say there is a danger side of this. You don't want to have a raised joystick and Control Freaks, and you want to make sure that you're using a joystick that feels good on your hands and primarily on your right joystick. If you have a joystick that's too big, it's going to throw off your whole range of motion, your hands are going to feel uncomfortable, and it's not going to be fun. However, if you have a joystick that's too small, and this is the way it's going to be for most people using the default PlayStation and Xbox joysticks, your hands are going to feel really weird and your aim's just going to be off. It may feel natural for you now, but once you play with the Control Freak and get used to it, that small tiny joystick is going to feel really weird. And pause, that whole sentence sounded really weird. But I do just want to recap and talk about why all of this is so important once again, guys. It's about range of motion. And it doesn't matter if you're talking about actual athletics, real sports. It doesn't matter if you're talking about weightlifting, playing Call of Duty, whatever. You might not believe it, but the actual biomechanics of moving your body has a role in the success in what you do. It can be a basketball shot, a tennis serve, or a Call of Duty aim thing. But your biomechanics, the actual mechanics in which you aim with, will play a part in your aiming, and that's why all this is so important. And this is going to lead me into the third topic, and this is a really weird one. But you are aiming with the wrong part of your joystick. And I know you're like, well, yeah, Ryan, isn't that what you just said with the whole blah, blah, blah? No, listen. When you aim, your joystick is almost always being pulled down. When you are shooting a gun like the Ram 7, a Striker, whatever, whenever it has recoil, you're pulling your joystick down to compensate for that recoil on controller. So what this means is you have to get used to aiming with your joystick at that angle, and this is something most people don't do. And by the way, if you're watching the background footage and you're like, Ryan, those are some bots? Dude, that's what I was just saying to my friend in the gameplay. These are what happens when you play like 1 in the morning, midnight, East Coast time. The lobbies turn super weird and you face super sweats and super bots in the same lobby, and it's crazy. All right, regardless, back to the point. But you need to practice aiming with your joystick at the bottom, because this is something most people don't do. And what this means is when you don't have your thumb put on the bottom right of your joystick, like I tried to point out in the beginning of this video, and you have it locked at that weird 90-degree angle, this is so much harder to do. I mean, just try it. Put your joystick at the bottom of your controller, put your thumb in the middle with that 90-degree angle locked position, and try and aim. It feels terrible. I know 99% of you guys have never even thought about the way you hold your controller, the way your thumb sits on your controller, and all of this, but I have. And part of the reason why is because I coach high school football, or I didn't this year, but I've been coaching for the past couple years, and I played sports a lot growing up. Sports have always been a big part of my life, so it's natural for me to relate sports to Call of Duty. And if there's one thing I realized, because this happened with my basketball shot, but the second you actually get proper form on things, life becomes so much easier. And if you're one of those people who, when you aim on controller, you feel like it's strangely difficult and it doesn't feel easy, it doesn't feel intuitive, it feels painful, well, this might be one of the big reasons why. Because if you are limiting your natural range of motion, how are you going to get super good in cracked aim? It doesn't matter if you put in a ton of work, but if you are physically limiting your ability to actually properly aim by holding your thumb at the wrong angle, it doesn't matter how many videos you watch of mine. It doesn't matter how many times, how many hours you play, how many times you practice your aim. None of that matters, because your raw biomechanics are going to be holding you back, and that is what I want to talk about in this whole video. And that's the other thing about control freaks and a raised joystick, is because it just makes it easier. I would compare it to running on a grass field with cleats versus not having cleats. It doesn't matter if you're playing soccer, football, field hockey, lacrosse, whatever, you need cleats. You can have all the amazing footwork you want. You can practice your footwork technique. You can do all of these things. But if you don't have that actual traction through spikes and the actual ability to grip into the ground, it doesn't matter. It just simply doesn't matter. I know it's weird to look at Call of Duty and things like aiming from the perspective of improving a sports skill, but I promise if you embrace that type of mindset, it really does actually help with you getting better. It will lead to long-term progression and growth, and you'll actually understand some of the more basic fundamentals of the game. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna wrap this video up. I just want to say thank you so much for watching the videos, and I've been getting so many good comments recently, and I just can't say thank you enough. It's been Ryan. I hope you have a good day. Peace.